CN&CO Events proudly brings you InsureTalk Live 2023. The time has come to close your laptop and join us live. Network with industry leaders and influencers. Engage and learn from A-list speakers. Interact with top exhibitors. Experience the best live entertainment. And so much more. Register today. Visit cnandcoevents.com. InsureTalk Live 2023, shaping the future together. Register today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christelle Coleman, and today we are bringing to you InsureTalk number 35. It's August. Can you believe it? We are rushing towards the end of the year. Now, with InsureTalk, as I've mentioned this so many times over the last episodes, it's impossible for us to do this without our event sponsors. And today we have a very, very high-profile event sponsor, Old Mutual Insure, South Africa's oldest insurance companies, one of the leading insurance companies in the market, and such a impressive brand to support our session here today. And with this impressive history and substance come the best possible speakers. They've made some of the most important people available to us today to talk to us on a very important topic. I want to tell you a little bit about our theme today. It is navigating the future, unleashing innovation and insight into the evolving insurance landscape. It's quite a hefty theme, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it's about. The theme really is about the dynamic and transformative nature of the insurance industry. We're going to look at advanced analytics, embracing innovation and staying ahead of the emerging risk trends. And all of this will be underlined by the most important thing, which is customer experience. And then, of course, we're also going to look at how reinsurance supports this dynamic landscape. So to Old Mutual Insure, we want to thank you for supporting InsureTalk. Without sponsors like yourselves, we are not able to do this. Our very first speaker for the day is someone that I know very, very well. She's a friend of mine, and I am very honored to introduce you to Antonia Oakes. She is the Executive of Customer Experience at Old Mutual Insure, so it is a very important job in the insurance company with the size of Old Mutual Insure. She's going to talk to us about trends in customer experience. But before we hand over to Antonia, I want to give you a little bit of an overview of who she is. It's a dynamic lady. She was voted in 2020 one of 6 best global customer experience leaders across 24 countries, making South Africa very proud, and her Old Mutual Insure colleagues as well. She's a highly driven thought leader and keynote speaker who has been a CX judge, customer experience judge, on international panels. She's got a master's in business leadership through the APSA leadership program with UCT. She's got a number of professional and academic qualifications. She is a fantastic person all round, and we are very excited to hear her talk. So in her words, before I hand her over, never give up on your dreams. Over to you, Antonia.
Thank you, Christelle. And yeah, thank you so much for InsureTalk. And this is going to be a very amazing, jam-packed InsureTalk number 35. And I can already see the numbers climbing. and we hope that it is definitely going to be insightful, valuable, and for you to take away some nuggets from this. I'm also excited when I saw the lineup. Really, really insightful indeed. So before, and I think it's apt that we are starting with customer, because as we say that we have to put the customer at the center of everything that we do. And today I'm going to share with you customer experience trends in the now and the future. I've seen and I've witnessed how customer experience has really taken over the short-term insurance industry, let alone from a global perspective. I've always known that short customer experience will take over the world because let's face it, we deal with people on a daily basis. So business and organizations always knew that. We focused on service quite heavily, say in the last 15 years, but now we've seen that we are dealing with whole beings and customer experience, our ecosystem that we deal with, broker experience, people experience, employee experience is something that has grown very fast over the years. So my name is Antonia Oakes. As Christelle mentioned, she's given a bit of background of me, and let's kick off the presentation. I like to start with just clarifying this myth about what is customer experience versus customer service. There is a difference, and customer experience, as I've said, is really about the connection of our customers to an organization. It is the perception that customers have of an organization, and one that is formed based on all the interactions across touch points, people, technology. And this is over time that our customers and our ecosystem, brokers, service providers actually deal with the brand. Customer experience is more the cognitive, effective, emotional, social, and physical responses to a brand. It's generated through both functional and emotional behaviors. Now, coming down to customer service. Customer service is very operational. It's really, and don't get me wrong, it's important and part and parcel of your total customer experience management, your total customer experience as a brand. But customer service, I always say, is something that is required in all organizations for when the customer experience goes wrong. So your customer care teams, your call centers, your frontline, it is more of a business function and a functional part of your organization. It then focuses metrics, your operational resolution, really focusing on customer service recovery, your issues, your complaints management. However, it has a big impact on your customer experience in totality. So customer experience has definitely taken, and I've just put a few random examples of which you wouldn't see every day, of where customer experience has been embedded. I think if you look at the first one, it talks about the USA presidency, where they are actually signing an SLA or an addendum to improve customer service for the people. Now, what I like about customer experience is that you can take the principles, the fundamentals, and you can cut it across any industry. However, we have to bespoke it to that specific industry. If you look at the NBA team, they've even added the chief experience officers to their C-suites, and then just a random retail brand of Under Armour, who also names a chief consumer officer to take place to look at their customer experience. But what am I doing today? I'm sharing with you how customer experience, or what are the new customer experience trends in the now and going forward. Customers transform, customers evolve continuously. So what does that mean? We as organizations, we as a short-term insurance industry have to make sure that we are able to be agile and flexible enough to adapt and adopt to our customers, what their needs are, what they actually want to be protected from an asset perspective, what their risks are, how the macro and microeconomic factors impact them. All this needs to be taken into consideration. What I've just said now is understanding humans, understanding our customers in their total being, and not forgetting that customer experience is more an emotional connection with your brand. So, how do you step up and step out from functional processes, product, and bring in the customer experience piece and overlay it onto your business? I'm unfortunately not talking about operationalization of customer experience today. I'll touch on it briefly, but I'm really just surfacing what are the trends, what our customers are saying, how they are behaving, and maybe this will then give you some insights as to how you need to evolve in your business in terms of technology, products, processes, etc. So, consumer behavior, and I think I've mentioned this a lot, and what it's telling you is something that you need to keep your finger on the pulse on. Consumer behavior, customers, people, we've defined this to be the want it now culture. That dictates the terms. And why? Because of digital, because of social media. 80% of customers demand quicker responses from businesses. Consumers expect that brands they engage with understand them at a deeper level and not just at a functional level. And when this does not happen, the reaction is at an emotional level. So this is why we get a high volume of complaints going to our businesses directly and even to the ombudsman. Why? Because our people are not putting themselves in our consumers, customers, clients, brokers, service providers' shoes. It's really just about understanding our ecosystem that we deal with and our customers that we deal with at a deeper level. What does this mean? Our data needs to be on point. We need to have real-time data in terms of our customer journey management. 38% of customers expect agents, our staff, to know who they are and the context of their query immediately. 80% of buyers are more likely to make a purchase when brands offer personalized experiences. This is self-explanatory. I'll leave it there. Let's move into the customer experience trends. So post-COVID, we've experienced a heightened digitization technology type of drive. There are disadvantages and advantages to that. Obviously, with digitization and technology, we have used it really to optimize in terms of our cost to serve, in terms of our cost management, and how we can give back more to our customers. But what we're seeing is that social media and the shift in power and influence from the business, social media has given us this shift in power from the business to the customer. So we know that customers are key critical. They are now voting with their fingers opposed to their feet because obviously COVID has created this behavior. Social media and smartphones have armed our customers with platforms and a voice to speak up and share their experiences. We see ourselves in the experience economy. So customers very quickly go to social media to share their frustrations, their joys, their delight, etc. And you quickly see other customers coming on board, either giving a good review of brands or not so good. As I said, we are in the experience economy. People choose to spend their money on experiences over things, and there's a zero tolerance for digital inconvenience. So if we are going to drive digitization and technology to optimize and enhance customer experience and how customers perceive us, let's do it right. Let's overlay our digital processes, designs with our customer journeys as well, because customers expect good stuff. We find ourselves where customers are starting to live in the virtual world, or the metaverse universe, as we call it. So the world of avatars, is huge for market fashion, vehicle insurance, holidays, etc. Making and selling virtual goods. I mean, this is the now. It's not even the future. Nike is quietly preparing for the metaverse, and I think they've already influenced and infiltrated that market. So what am I saying? Social media, digital, that has really changed how our customers are doing business. Are we ready as the short-term insurance industry? Are we getting it right? So customers definitely want a partner in life. They want us to understand their next best life stages. They want us to understand their next life-changing moments in their lives. And how do we use this deeper understanding of their customer life stage cycle to give them the products they need, to give them what they need? So it's really about creating positivity in the life changes that they go through. The one example that I always use, just really from an artificial serendipity perspective, is Netflix. Yes, we know Netflix has lost a lot of customers, but from an artificial serendipity perspective, and I personally like it, is the Netflix shuffle button. It creates surprises for the viewers by outsourcing the surprise with the shuffle button. So it's like, wow, Netflix gets me. Netflix knows what I'm going to watch. They obviously have taken my data over time and used it to create a surprise for me, which is called artificial serendipity. Moving on to, and it would be amiss of me not to bring AI or artificial intelligence into the CX predictions. Obviously, AI is a key component in our future CX predictions. So conversational service will be dominant and proactive. I constantly get asked, do I think that AI will replace frontline, will replace humans? I'll say yes and no, because as long as we have red blood flowing through our veins and we still give birth to human beings and not robots, we will always use that we will always need that human touch. We will always need to understand our customers' needs, wants, behaviors, next best actions. AI service will be artificial intelligence first, and customers will drive all service. So customers are now in the power seat. They will drive the service. They want self-help. They want to be in control of their claims. They want to be in control of their buying processes. They want to be in control of selecting what they need at renewal stage, of selecting certain things that they need. So what the AI CX predictions is saying is not about having all the data. It's about doing the right things with the data. So it's great if we have intense, deep level data on our customers, but how are we using it? Are we using it to serve them better? Are we using it to create better experiences? Are we using it to optimize our growth in our organization from a cross-sell, upsell, stickiness perspective? Every business will live and provide conversational support everywhere you are, and this is through AI. AI will replace the majority of frontline interactions. So listen to that carefully. So everyone is trying to drive operational efficiencies, operational efficacy, but it's about how we do that. So frontline interactions, reducing the wastage, ensuring that we enhance cost to serve, ensuring that we enhance our customer experience. Hyper-specialized support will be available for everything, obviously at a price, but once you get it right, you'll be able to very smartly create price models that actually benefit the customers as well, not just the business. Conversational service will be dominant and proactive. Now, you don't have to read what's on the slide. I will share what's on the slide, but it was very apt for me to share this because it speaks to the insurance industry and insurance carriers, and definitely in the fast changing and increasingly competitive industry that we find ourselves in, insurance carriers must put the customer experience at the center of their business strategy. So the theory, is there. I mean, it's in hundreds, but the operationalization of this is most probably where we get stuck, and where that becomes a challenge of us getting this right. So it means that we have to start with the customer to ensure that we get total experiences right. This trend, however, is talking about digital insurance, but it's also talking about how insurance carriers can use digital to their advantage and use digital to enhance customer experience. So when insurers offer personalized services, the customer retention rate is 81% or more. Insurers offering personalized services can boost customer engagement by 89%, and 80% of customers are enthusiastic about insurers that connect their product to broader environmental, social, and corporate governance initiatives. So we are seeing that shift when it comes to climate action, climate change, social responsibilities. Our customers obviously have changed from generation to generation. And what we are seeing that our younger customers, our Gen Z customers, are really gravitating towards brands that are more social responsible, that are more environmental friendly. Our products that we create, are they seen to be more environmental friendly? Are we actually participating in the right social responsibility activities that have an impact on the world and the globe as a whole, not just to tick the box? I think that is a very important one. We are seeing insurers moving towards ESG strategies. Some are grappling with them, but if I look at some of the global insurers in Europe, like Generali, they have a great ESG and sustainability strategy. Across the globe, 59% of customers wish their insurers would offer rewards for healthy living. One more important thing is healthy living. You see our customers, and it's not just our customers. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. It's us. We are customers as well. We have gravitated to more better wellness activities, wellness, healthy way of living. So it really is about a personal touch. New CX initiatives are being developed by 85% of insurers to improve customer journey. 50% of customers place high priority on personalized digital communications from insurance companies, while only 17% of insurers currently prioritize personalization. I guess it's important to note that as an organization, as a business, you have to balance your costs, your budget, and your customer experience. Personalization, specifically hyper-personalization, is a very expensive strategic focus and strategy, but it all depends on your business strategy. Key fundamental of customer experience design strategy is that your CX strategy needs to be aligned to your business strategy. I'm going to quickly go through the next two buckets, not in so much detail. I do believe that this presentation will be shared, correct me if I'm wrong, to the organizers. But the current state of insurance talks about virtual assistants are in use by only 16% of insurers, but 30% of consumers find value in AI-based communication. Omnichannel experiences are prioritized by 11% of decision makers to deliver quality experiences for customers, and 53% of customers wish to have an in-person experience before purchasing an insurance product. I think we know that peer reviews, if I think about the in-person experience, some of our customers go to peer reviews. Some of our customers go to word of mouth, especially when it comes to insurance. We do know that our customer behavior is one where customers do research, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's online, whether it's around a fire, having a braai. They will ask you about the insurers, your insurance. What is your experience with your insurance? So this is very important, whether we have an in-person experience or whether we have a peer review, online, word of mouth. 53% of customers will do that before purchasing an insurance product. Whether they go to an aggregator like Hippo or other aggregators, they will do this. They will shop around. 50% of insurance customers surveyed believe that digital channels do not currently provide clear information about insurance products. So as this survey and piece of research went, we were testing digital insurers, and this is what customers are saying. Another important component is customers want to trust their insurers. How do we as insurance carriers create that trust for our customers? We see this word trust come through time and time again in numerous research insights surveys that we do. Just something that I'm throwing into this as well. By 2025, there will be an estimated 1 trillion connected devices. I won't say anything about that. You decide how you use that 1 trillion connected devices as an opportunity to enhance customer experience or not. 69% of customers would share relevant personal data for a lower premium from insurers. Again, I'll leave that there, self-explanatory. How do you use it to enhance customer experience across your business? So this really just reflected the current state of insurance from a customer perspective and their views. Customer preference, I guess positivity is key for insurance customer experience. One negative experience is enough for 50% of customers to switch to a competitor. I'll pause on that one. Think about how you manage your service recovery, how you create an experience that's going to last with your customers, because one negative experience is enough for 50% of customers to switch to a competitor. So we all know what the moment of truth is in short-term insurance. It's at claim stage. The biggest moment of truth in short-term insurance is claims. But how do we manage that from the time a customer needs short-term insurance right through to MTA, changes, his entire life cycle? How do we manage that? How do we know what the NBX or the next best experience or action is for our customers? Do we know that? Do we use our data right? 75% of customers expect companies to leverage new technologies for improved interactions. Digital experiences are popular across generations among customers 55 and older. 71% want to process claims through digital platforms like voice or chat instead of in person. Seamless omni-channel engagement experiences that continue across multiple devices and in person is valued by 42% of consumers. And 70% of drivers want pay-as-you-drive insurance, where the less you drive, the less you pay. This style of insurance is increasingly in popularity. We could tick the boxes or tick that box amongst a lot of the insurance carriers, but are we doing it right? Are we evolving it as our customers' needs are evolving? I think that's the big question. 58% of insurance companies have increased their budgets for digital innovation. Have they actually coincided that with the customer experience budget as well? Balance between digital and in-person assistance is crucial. 49% of customers believe a human advisor is more trustworthy in filling a claim than an automated service or chatbot. And let's face facts. Claims, whether it's a small or big or medium, becomes a traumatic type of interaction with your insurance carrier. How do we manage that? How do we, I won't say personalize, but it is personalization. How do we personalize that claims experience? Because we have different types of claims and we have different types of customer segments that we deal with on a daily basis at that stage. Customers are tightening their belts due to inflation and checking online for comparison shopping. Forrester predicts policy lapses will increase by 20% in the coming year. And I guess that speaks to the economy and what has happened of late and how that is impacting our customers on a whole, but also impacting their pockets and their bottom line. So I would like to share with you today, I know that has been a mouthful, but I think it's important for us to understand where our customers are coming from, where they are going, but most importantly, where they are now and what they are looking for in an insurance carrier, but what their behaviors are predicting. I've taken a random example. I'm going to share a video of whom I feel is a customer-centric retailer, because I love using Checkers 6060, and I think they've taken customer at the heart of their business quite seriously. They've realized that customers are transforming and evolving at a rapid pace because of technology and because of the information that they have readily available at their fingertips. So I'm going to share with you a video on how Checkers has evolved. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced the different Checkers in the different areas, how they've set up, but let me not speak further and share the video with you.
The reason we launched ShopRite X was a realization that customers are transforming almost faster than we were. Retail is as much about doing the old things well as it is about using technology to get products to customers in a cheaper and faster way.
We have already seen some great innovation coming out of here. One being the extra savings rewards program, and then the groundbreaking 6060 on-demand grocery delivery service. We take our enhanced, very rich customer data, marry that with what ShopRite has proven to do is an unsurpassed level of operational efficiency, to marry those two through precision retail to make the most customer-centric retailer on the continent.
So if you take 6060, which has been a multi-award winning innovation, we did more of the hard work for customers than ever has been done before in South Africa. One of the very cool stats is that we delivered 1.5 million orders in the last year in less than 30 minutes. Another one of my favorite quick projects is Checkers Rush. It's our concept of a check-outless store. Walk in, pick up the products off the shelf, walk out. We use advanced AI and machine vision technology and cameras to identify which products and brands customers are taking from the shelf, and then we automatically bill your bank card. We're really excited about our new ShopRite X campus. It's a purpose-built mixed-use development, and it's really been built with collaboration in mind. So everything is very purposefully designed. I've been in retail 17 years, but I realize some of the best ideas in innovation have come from people that have only been with our business a couple of months.
It's not a job or a position. When you work at ShopRite X, it's like living out a passion.
And we have a broad, diverse group of people, so it's always learning something new.
You know, we've got this ability to innovate, we've got this ability to be quite creative in the way we solve problems and to leverage the tools and the people that we have. So I think it's quite a free-thinking organization. It's more about how do we deliver value to our customers.
It's collaborative, you're inspired to come to work, you're encouraged to take risks, fail fast. It's an awesome energy.
We are ShopRite, and this is ShopRite X.
So thank you for that. I guess you cannot enhance or implement customer experience without the employee experience as well. Every time I watch that video, I get very inspired to know that there are some, and guys, this is just one of the many examples of organizations that have practically and tangibly operationalized CX and put the customer at the center of their business. There are some examples on insurance companies that have gone digital and managed to do that. But most importantly, or the other component of CX is EX, and that's the employee experience. Without your employee experience, your customer experience operationalization becomes a bit difficult. The two go hand in hand because at the front line of your business, will always be your people who are trying to create that emotional connection with your brand, be it through processes, be it through products, be it through service recovery, complaints resolution, be it through every part of your business. Even your back offices play an important role in actually delivering on your total customer experience. Thank you very much for listening, and once again, honored to be on the OM Insure sponsored Insure Talk. I am Antonia Oakes, and I love customer experience and customers and people at the heart of our business. Thank you.
Antonia, as always, you deliver. That was a fascinating talk on customer experience, and we appreciate you taking the time to deliver and prepare such a thorough presentation. So thoroughly enjoyed that as well. Now, we have about 2 months to go until we get to the first InsureTalk live event. Remember, our normal InsureTalk sessions will continue, but in October, we are going to have a hybrid event. This program today is going to be broadcast live from our venue in Melrose Arch. It's called InsureTalk Live. It's a hybrid conference for insurance professionals, and it's going to be on the 26th of October. So we are going to be doing it. It's a morning session from 9 to 3 p.m., and you can attend either in person or online. It's our first live edition, and we are so excited to meet people in person at this event. So we really want to invite you to join us at the live event. We're going to have a number of speakers, as we normally do, and they're going to speak on a range of expert topics. We're going to have engaging discussions, and of course, the most important thing that we are now doing post-COVID, we are still talking about that, is to be able to network with our fellow friends in the industry in person. So we've got a few seats still open and available, so please book your spot now, and there's also some early bird tickets still available. So we really want to invite you. We're going to post the link in the chat box. I think Llewellyn's busy with that, so please sign up, come and join us, network, learn, grow, and meet us in person. How exciting is that? So as I said, Old Mutual Insure, leading insurance brand in the South African insurance market and also on the African continent for that matter, is our headline event sponsor for today, and they've made a number of the most senior people available as our speakers. I am really excited about hearing Jerry's talk. Jerry is the Chief Commercial Officer at Old Mutual Insure, and he's going to talk to us about applying advanced analytics and innovation in insurance. Now, that might sound like, a very technical topic, but it's really interesting to hear Jerry's perspective on the topic itself, because Jerry is not a traditional insurance man. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. First and foremost, he has got the most impressive academic background. He has his BSc Honours in Actuarial Science that he got from Wits University, his MBA from the Columbia Business School. He was the former chief executive of Jet Africa, so he brings that retail experience into the insurance landscape. And he's amassed extensive industry experience and honed diverse skills through various roles in retail, insurance, and FMCG in his career. Jerry's passion lies in collaborating with like-minded individuals to address significant challenges head-on. He is an all-round wonderful individual, and he draws inspiration from opportunities that demand transformative thinking. So on that note, I'm handing you over to Jerry. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Christel. And everyone, really, really happy to be here. And by the way, some of that bio I actually put into ChatGPT, given the subject of my talk, and I put in key points, and I said, how would it spin it in a nicer way about me? So some of those phrases were actually because of ChatGPT helping me out. But the rest of my presentation is all myself. It's not any other sort of generative AI that's helped me do it. All right, let me share my screen. So guys, what I wanted to talk to everyone about today is applying advanced analytics and innovation and insurance, and really how to think about it. I think often, and I've attended a few talks, read a few articles, and what's sometimes frustrated me is you actually never get practical advice, and you kind of lost in the buzzwords, and it's very hard to walk away from a presentation and say, okay, how can I apply it in my business? So hopefully this helps bridge a bit of that gap. Cool. So I think the first thing I want to chat to is just why is it important? And I thought what I wanted to show was just from the latest KPMG insurance survey, just the reported financial performance of all short-term insurers in the country. And you can see that, profits are under pressure. There's quite a huge amount of us in the lower quartile of the industry. Low quartile of, call it, profits. So 21 of the 30 odd players surveyed actually aren't doing that well in terms of financial performance. And kind of 3 players enjoy, majority of the profits. And this all points to everyone needs to find a way to be more financially sustainable, and productivity is key to doing that. And whilst there's lots of other levers that you need to look at, like Antonio spoke about customer experience and getting that right, another lever is applying advanced analytics and innovation. So what I wanted to take you through today is 3 things mainly. So firstly, advanced analytics, moving from buzzwords to value. So just share some of my thinking as to how you would start it. Generative AI, I think ChatGPT's kind of make the headlines for the last 6 months. So just wanted to share some perspectives from our OMI point of view on how we think about it. And then insurtechs and innovations, is it all myths, or is it real, unicorns that have that can realize, millions in value for insurers? Okay, and I will, as you go along, I'll pay attention to the Q&A box if you guys have, and I'll answer as we go along. Otherwise, I'll answer at the end of the presentation. But cool. What I wanted to first start with is McKinsey actually did a sort of survey on global insurers in Europe, as well as Asia and insurers in Africa. Just look at, across a few dimensions, how advanced are insurers in applying advanced analytics in their companies. And you can see if on the extreme end, if a score of 5 means, very advanced, pretty much extracting all best practice advanced analytics use cases, 1 being, you haven't really started the data journey. As you can see, the green is South Africa. There's quite a vast difference between global insurers as well as local insurers in terms of who's using advanced analytics and who isn't. So not everyone is at the same level of maturity. Next slide. Oh shucks, has my screen frozen? Sorry guys. Having a technical, oh, there we go, cool. So when you start thinking through how do you want to apply advanced analytics in your company, I think there's 3 things to consider. So firstly, get your foundations right. Don't just try to do all the cool stuff first. There's really a few foundations you need to get in place, and I'll talk through that. I think the second piece is, before you start, it's always important to have a point of view on where do you think the value is in your own business. Just because another insurer or another industry is realizing value through analytics, it's not necessarily easy to cut and paste that same model, that same skill set into your own business. And that's where lots of insurers have burnt their fingers and probably burnt a lot of cash in the process as well. And then finally, once you have points 1 and 2 in place, for those of you who've watched Oppenheimer, you'll see that it's really around to build something great. You also have to decide, how do you get your talent? Are you going to build it? Are you going to recruit it, buy partnerships? And really think through, how do you get the best in the space to work with you? So talking through point 1, I thought I'd just share a picture that kind of captures how we all think. We all want to be at the end where we want the building blocks to already be in place. We want to be using it, showing the value of data, but there's a lot of things you need to start with. So it really starts with the building blocks. And what do I mean by building blocks? Get your data sources right. Understand what sources of data you have. What do you still need? What's the architecture around your data environment? So where's your data lake? Is it in the cloud? Is it API enabled? And then finally, the governance and maintenance of it. So how are you making sure that your data is always up to date? It's POPI compliant, you're maintaining it, things like that. It ensures in South Africa, for example, if you have lots of intermediary binder holders that have their own systems, how is that sort of gateway working? So these are the things to really think through first. And then you get to the second piece, where's the value in advanced analytics? And with insurance, there's kind of 4 areas that you can think through to deploy advanced analytics. I'm sure there's others, but these are the main 4, right? The first is around distribution. And in distribution is really around, within your current customer base, is there cross-selling and upselling? So fairly standard things that you probably would naturally try to do anyway. Retention management, understanding which customers you should target first if it's lead generation. So thinking all of that through. So it's all almost helping enhance current focus areas in distribution. So if you see, kind of based on the survey that was done, the dark blue shows where are most insurers focusing, and the green is the gray is where no one's really explored the idea yet deliberately. And the main area, as you can see, is cross-sell and retention management. You then go into pricing and underwriting. I think this piece here, especially advanced underwriting, is really around, how do you help understand risk a lot better, especially in our new evolving environment where there's an increased amount of natural cats happening. Maybe there's new types of risks such as cyber. In South Africa now we have solar, grid failure, etc. How do you use data to help you underwrite better? And then once you do that, how can you use data to advance your technical pricing capabilities? So instead of, I don't know, however many rating factors the average insurer uses, you probably could use 100 times that now to help you get more specific there. But then finally, pricing doesn't happen in isolation. You're in a market, right? So even if you have a technical price, obviously you have to compete in this space. And how do you use data in helping you compete better, knowing which customers to discount on, which ones not to? And that's what commercial pricing is all around. And you'll see lots of the focus has been in technical pricing and commercial pricing. And to be honest, this was always in place given the field of actuarial science. This is, pricing has technically been advanced analytics just long before it was called advanced analytics. So it's nothing necessarily new. Then in terms of claims, I think there's lots you can do here. Obviously, fraud detection and is probably the one everyone thinks about automatically. But there's also early detection and prevention that maybe you could look at, as well as first notification of loss. I think the one that does interest me a bit is around the network optimization and steering. If you are a fairly large insurer, you probably have a wide supply base of panel beaters, etc. How do you optimize? Who do you send which types of vehicles to, which types of customers to, so that you meet your overall objectives, quantitative as well as qualitative. So these are the things to think through. I mean, I'll give you a personal example. Before I joined All Mutual Insure, in a previous insurer, where as an individual, I had a small bumper bash and I needed my car to be fixed. And the panel beater, I stay in Sandton, and the panel beater I was allocated to by this insurer was in Eastgate. And on paper, it maybe makes sense. Maybe for that particular vehicle, I drive a Hyundai Elantra. Maybe that panel beater was the best in terms of cost to serve. But for me as a client, I was highly annoyed that I had to drive in traffic across Joburg to go drop my car off, get to work, etc. So the client experience wasn't necessarily factored in that. And you can use data to help you solve things like that, so you don't have to always have sort of tick boxes and manual checks in place. The last piece that advanced analytics is being used in quite a bit is helping you optimize and automate your back office functions. So there's lots of manual tasks that probably all companies, not just insurers, have. And you probably want to look at automating that to improve efficiencies, to improve agility. And the only way to actually do that is data and advanced analytics, because you need that foundation in place. Only then do your algorithms sort of come in to help automate sort of whatever operation you're looking at. So I hope this kind of gives you a overview of how to think about applying in your business. I think then if you have your building blocks in place, you understand kind of where do you want to focus on. Sorry, let me go back one step here. Maybe some insurers, depending on the type of insurer, if you sort of a specialist insurer, you're not heavy on motor and personal lines, probably underwriting and pricing is what you're going to look at, versus if you're maybe a direct insurer, it's probably in distribution and claims. So I think it's not everyone's going to prioritize the same things, but I think once you have your building blocks in place, once you have a view on what you're going to prioritize, then it's thinking through, okay, what skill sets do you need? And I think it's important to note that in data, there's sort of 3 skill sets that exist. All of them are in short supply. So the first is architects and engineers that understand building your piping and getting everything sort of working for you to have the foundation to work off. I think the second piece is the actual coders and kind of the propeller heads that do the advanced analytics. But what people often forget is once all of this is done, you actually need someone to translate all of this into business speak so that you can actually implement it. And it's not new, it's probably 7 to 8 years in. There's a skill called data translation and business translators that is very important. And I think unless you have all 3, you're not really going to be able to, you'll always have a gap and you're not going to probably be able to extract everything properly. If I look at us in OMI, given our data journey, we first started with getting our architects and engineers in place. We've now built our advanced analytics teams, and we've now started bringing in data translators based on the use cases we've implemented. So not everything has to come in at the same time, but all 3 are critical. And then once you have a view on the skills you need, you also don't need to necessarily build it in-house. I think one of the fastest growing sectors is actually advanced analytics companies. I mean, there's either your well-established consulting houses like Accenture, McKinsey, that are building up their own advanced analytics capabilities to help companies, or you get startups that are doing this themselves. So a well-known one in South Africa is Data Profit, Quantum is one, or you get InsureTech specialist data companies that think of a specific problem, and that's all they do is get all the data they can to solve it. A popular one that I think a few insurers locally are working with is JBA. what they've done is use satellite data to really help understand flood risk. And that's literally all the company does. So again, there's various ways to think through how you partner. Let me just check if there's any questions. Cool, nothing yet. All right, generative AI. So what is it? I think generative AI is more than ChatGPT. It's essentially using unstructured content such as images, text, and creating something with it. So you can use it to create articles. You can use it to create images. You can even use it in like labs and genetics, and then also in coding. So basically anything that isn't sort of numbers related, generative AI can actually do for you. So some of the use case applications that you could look at, I think there's text generation, so actual writing of things, summary and synthesis. I think I use it quite a bit just for summaries, especially. That's very important. I know a few law firms actually do that as well. Coding, so lots of IT guys, probably in their personal capacity. I think most companies aren't comfortable with using generative AI in their actual coding capabilities. Image generation, so there's a few ads, especially on social media, that are actually AI generated, whether it's a nice, looking production image. There's a chance it could be AI generated. Even audio and video can be used, generated via Gen AI, and even things like molecule discovery, 3D object generation. So lots of applications, right? And what I've shared is definitely not exhaustive. Oh gosh, my screen is frozen again. Sorry, guys. Let me try this. Oh gosh. Randall, I don't know if you're on the call. Do you have my presentation? I think it's just frozen on my screen.
Jerry, do you want to just maybe stop screen share and try again?
Yeah, let me try that. Sorry. Stop sharing. Okay, cool. I'll try it again. Apologies, guys.
Great, I can see your screen share. Just maybe move it. Does it move? Just click on the screen and move. Otherwise, at the bottom of left, there should be arrow keys that you can try and move.
There we go. Yeah, it started working again. Cool, thanks. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back. So I think the one thing to think around generative AI is everyone's excited about the opportunities, but you also need to be careful of the risks, right? So the one thing with Gen AI is it almost enhances or amplifies rather current risk and creates a whole bunch of new ones that we really need to think through. So the first sort of bucket to think around is how does it manifest on known risks? So safety and security. If you're using, things like ChatGPT on work confidential information, it's kind of there in the internet now. And how do you know that it's still safe and secure? In terms of fairness, if you're using Gen AI in some sort of decision making, and if it's trained on something that's biased, how do you know that biasness isn't coming through? Which kind of links to the third point in terms of interpreting all of this. If you don't really know what's the coding and thinking that goes into it, how do you actually explain the final decision? If you're using it on helping you understand data in text. And the last piece is transparency, because lots of these generative AI platforms are black boxes, it's very hard for your average individual, even company, to actually explain this. Cool. So that's kind of the known risks. But then what about new risks to think around? So the big one I can think through is misuse. Think around being able to use generative AI to create a fraudulent accident claim and use an image of your car that it can manipulate to look like an accident happened if your insurer is using digital assessments. That's that's a new risk that probably never existed before. What's the legal ramifications of that? So if you as a company are using Gen AI in certain decision-making aspects, what's the regulatory considerations there? What's the liability potential there? So these are things you really need to think through before you jump straight into it. However, I think there's still things you can explore, and some of the ones to really think through is content synthesis, to really help digest loads of data in a fast amount of time, and that's what lots of insurers are exploring. And it showed early indications in some studies that McKinsey, EY have done is around 80% productivity gains. Can you use it in customer and employee engagement? So most bots is generative AI, and that can improve customer interactions. Coding and software. So within Old Mutual and Old Mutual Insure, we don't recommend this, but until we understand more, but you can use generative AI in this space as well, and there's productivity gains. However, I think there's lots of risks as well. And then finally, pure content generation. So, your social media posts on Instagram or Snapchat, whatever. I'm sorry, not Snapchat, TikTok. You could use things like Gen AI instead of hiring an ad agency to produce lots of content for you. So that's another thing to think around. So that's sort of analytics and Gen AI. I think the next piece is, okay, innovation. How do you think about it in an insurer? So I think, like with analytics, you really need to decide which part of the value chain in your company needs innovation. Don't just do innovation for the sake of it because it's cool. Maybe it's good for your brand, maybe your share price. But ultimately, if you're not really clear on why you're doing it, you're not going to really see the value. So I think for me, there's kind of 5 types of innovation in insurance. Are you doing insurance and product development? And even within product development, what are the themes? Is it user-based insurance? Are you aiming to solve financial inclusion? Or is it climate change related? Using smart devices? Is it in marketing and distribution where you just want to improve kind of the customer experience from looking to search for an insurance product to buying an insurance product and engaging with you? So some examples some of you may be aware of is obviously Pineapple, Naked, Joshua, Control, as well as an interesting one. And then in pricing and underwriting. So if you have all this data, you do need some tech to overlay it. So do you rather want to focus your innovation in this space? And I think this is where a lot of focus is happening, especially in understanding flood risk, carbon footprint exposure, and how do you think around improving it? That's where some innovation is happening. Or is it in claims where you want to either improve your customer experience or your cost or frequency of claims? Again, how do you think around that? In some instances, especially in claims, there's lots of smart geezer tech companies that are coming up. One that springs to mind is Plentify, for example, where it's a little hotbot that they call it. They install in your geyser, and this helps you actually optimize usage, but also help you proactively detect leakage, and then also I guess that'll help you with your claims costs if you're an insurer. And then finally, back office automation. So across the spectrum, decide where it is you want to focus on, and you'll see lots of the themes I've spoken to are very similar to analytics. And I guess one of the key takeouts is in this new world, very difficult to do innovation without a strong data and analytic foundation. It's possible, but very difficult. I think also, like with innovation, with analytics, decide, okay, how do you want to unlock this innovation? Do you want to do it yourself? Do you want to build a little team, sandbox team as it's called? Or I think Antonio showed the checkers team that have decided to go in-house, which is one option. Or do you want to build, buy, and partner? So I decided to ask ChatGPT, how would we think about this? And they've actually come up with a fairly interesting but solid answer, where it really depends on how specialist is the expertise you need, how rapid you need to take this to market, what's the costs, and maybe there's strategic considerations you need to think around, like if you do partner with someone, the IP is not necessarily yours. So however, because of the rise of insurtechs, I think this question is becoming a lot more pertinent, where you need to think through, if you are partnering with insurtechs, what kinds of insurtechs and why would it work? And the interesting thing is, if you look at the insurtechs that are actually doing well, it's the ones on the slide that you see that are B2B, that are clear supporters of incumbents versus ones that want to compete directly with incumbents, like Lemonade, Root. The reason why those guys aren't actually doing well is they've tried to disrupt the entire value chain, and there's no scale. Versus insurers that have picked a specific part of the value chain over here and said, I want to do that very well. There's often an insurer that then has the base, the clients, the distribution to help you unlock that value. Pineapple, for example, are doing very well because of their partnership with Old Mutual Insurance, Ours, likewise, Naked and Hollard, Yasha Control, and Santam. I think another thing to be very, everyone talks about insurtechs are going to disrupt the market. And that's true, they're going to disrupt the market, but it'll probably be in partnership with an insurer, not on its own. I mean, if you just look at the latest performance of startups globally, insurtechs, the average stock price change since 22 has been minus 38%. Look, most startups have taken a real beating in the market in terms of share price. I think the other thing is very few insurtechs are profitable. Known listed insurtechs, there isn't a single one that's actually reached profit. So as much as insurtechs are doing interesting things or disrupting the market, you often have to ask yourself, okay, how much cash are they burning? And do you think that on their own, they would actually end up at a stage where they've reached enough scale and they can manage themselves sustainably without having to raise funding continuously? And that's a big question that insurtechs are having. And that's kind of what's happening now, is insurtechs are basically getting polarized into 7% that are actually doing really well, and call it the 49.9% that aren't, where they either completely failed or they're just stuck. They're probably going under if they don't do something drastically. And there are some promising opportunities there, but I think, if you're an established insurer or intermediary, I would take the insurtech threat with a pinch of salt. And for me, it's really around partnerships. However, if you're an investor in the insurtech space, I think if you have the right model, whereas you've sort of picked a specific piece in the value chain that you're going to focus on, you have a partner, whether it's a reinsurer, an insurer, established company is going to give you access to distribution, it's probably a nice investment to make. And it is a good time to invest given the market and the share prices with startups. And some of the next gen themes that are coming out are very similar to what I've spoken about. So using Gen AI at scale, underwriting, and process automation. But yeah, lots to think about in this space. Cool. On that note, yeah, that's my perspectives on advanced analytics and innovation. Let me check if there are any questions. Don't see any. So, okay, sorry, I was looking. Is there advantage in backing insurers who are using technologies over those that don't? That's from Gerald. I wouldn't say necessarily. It depends, are they backing it in the appropriate way? So if, for example, a specialist insurer is backing a technology that doesn't really add value to its value chain and it's hard to see how it's going to work, I don't necessarily think so. So you really need to think that through. And it's all about the detail, unfortunately. Gerald has another question on how do a small brokerage take advantage of advanced analytics and AI if large corporates are throwing $1 billion at us? Where's the advantage for the small guy? I think there's plenty of advantage. Lots of these smaller companies and startups, aren't necessarily only looking to do partnerships with large insurers. They are looking at especially testing, usually free of charge, with your smaller intermediaries, because the benefit is they get to get kind of a proof of concept. You kind of don't have to pay for it, and then there's probably opportunity there. So that's how I would think around that. Cool. Those are the two questions, and yeah, that's it from me, guys. Thanks very much. Always interesting speaking to a screen, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh wait, sorry, I think there's one.
Okay, so I told you that he was going to give us an interesting address. Jerry has that incredible ability to take really, really complex topics and make it easy to understand. So really appreciate your insert there, Jerry, and we hope to have you back on InsureTalk one of these days again soon. Now, every month we get an update from the CEO of the Insurance Institute of South Africa, Thokozile Mashanga. That's the first episode after the very successful African Insurance Exchange conference at Sun City. Some of you, not me, but some of you have been were lucky enough to actually attend this year. And from what I hear, it was an absolute resounding success. We are 100% back to where we were pre-COVID. The speakers were incredible. It was just something to behold, and I understand that the team here at CN&CO did a fantastic job organizing this event. So congratulations to the IISA, to CN&CO, and everyone involved, all the sponsors, for making this such a successful event. But that also means that Thokozile is going to give us an update on some numbers, data, and we've got something interesting for you in this session next.
It's 8 minutes after 7. Lacking basic reading and writing skills is a tremendous disadvantage. Literacy not only enriches an individual's life, but it creates opportunities for people to develop skills that will help them provide for themselves and their families. This year, an international literacy study confirmed that 81% of South Africa's grade 4 children could not read for meaning in any language in 2021, almost exactly the same portion as in 2011. This means that a decade of slow progress in reading has been wiped out. However, we need to find out what steps are being taken to address this issue. Now, joining us this morning is the Chief Executive Officer at the Insurance Institute of South Africa, Thokozile Mashanga. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rush on Radio Al-Ansar.
Good morning, Nisha, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you for taking our call this early in the morning. We understand that the Insurance Industry Institute of South Africa recently held a 3-day program in which the issue of the lack of literacy among children was discussed. What ways were discussed to address this scourge?
Let me kick off by saying that we host an annual conference called the African Insurance Exchange. It puts together seniors in the insurance industry, and it gives us the opportunity to discuss pertinent matters like the issue of literacy. And we look at solutions on how we could all pull together, collaborate, and find meaningful solutions. So this year we have the honor of having Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka talk about the challenges in literacy and the young people not being able to read for meaning, as you were highlighting. So as in the industry, we are directly or indirectly impacted by this. We do need professionals that would be able to read policy wording, explain them to the clients, so that the need for literacy is relevant to us too.
Now, the issue of literacy amongst our society, unfortunately, is also witnessed in some of our public representatives, especially now in politics. Now, in the business world, how important is it to have an individual that is knowledgeable?
As I was highlighting, the need for professionals in business, and I'm going to use the insurance industry in particular because that's the industry I'm in. Mm-hmm. The engagement with customers requires understanding, explaining the policy, the terms, the conditions, the nature of the cover. One needs to be able to understand the policy themselves. So we are impacted. We do need professionals that have that understanding, have the ability to read and understand and explain to the next person.
Absolutely. Are there any programs currently in place or programs being discussed to address this issue, particularly in your industry, in our education sector?
There are varying pockets within the industry where each company is doing its own. But what we are looking to do is to have a collaborated approach where we'll be able to have an impact, a bigger impact. Mm-hmm. So different companies have their own corporate social investment initiatives that look into education, teacher training, math, science, and literacy. But what we need is for all of us to pull together and have a meaningful impact.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for your time this morning and sharing your thoughts on the subject of literacy in South Africa. You go ahead and have yourself a wonderful day going forward.
AIE 2023, it's been a huge success. We had over 1,000 delegates with 900 right here on site and the rest virtual. The exhibition center was fully subscribed, golf was fully subscribed, the gala dinner was amazing last night, and that is just setting the tone of what's to look out for in AIE 2024. A big thank you to our sponsors and to the exhibitors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This we cannot do without your support. Next year we'll be celebrating 50 years of hosting this conference. Now you don't want to miss that. The dates for next year, 21 July to 24th July 2024. We'll be back here at Sun City. We look forward to it.
See you 2024.
Thank you for that update. I've heard that there's already a few hundred registrations for the 2024 conference. I would really recommend that you get in early with your registration. The IISA offer significant discounts if you take the early bird discounts or the early bird registration. So if you want to attend and the budget is not there, register early and you can attend this world-class conference hosted here in South Africa that really represents the entire African continent from an insurance, financial services, reinsurance perspective. So join us next year at the AIE. Every month, this is another one of our regular inserts, we get a media update from Rianet Whitehead. She is from the FA News, co-owner of the FA News. She's the brain mom behind Insurance Apprentice. And she gives us all the insights into what is going on in the industry from a media perspective. So we look forward to hearing the news from Rianet in our next insert.
Morning. It's August, which means only a few Insure Talks left for this year, of which one is live. Quite exciting. So once again, an honor and a privilege to talk to you today. It feels to me that the rush of year-end is already starting, but maybe it's because we have started working on our October edition. Having a bi-monthly edition means that it feels that the year really goes extremely fast because you work far ahead of time. So now we are working on October, then last edition is November, and then the filming of the Insurance Apprentice year 10 starts. So for us, exciting times, but definitely starting to feel the year-end rush already. Speaking of TIA, please note that applications are closing on 30 September. In October, we have the regional rounds in Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. End of October, and at the end of November, we have our top 20 round in Johannesburg at Discovery Insure. Filming of TIA 2024 happens third week of January, and we are super excited about the sponsors and the tasks that's already confirmed. Very, very exciting stuff happening. Yesterday we recorded a video with Christopher Oppenaar, the TIA 2023 winner, about his journey and what he went through, how he analyzed it. His analysis of his journey and how he transformed was just so fantastic to listen to. So we will be sharing that soon. Watch out for it. It will be shared on all our social media channels on our website. So I'm fairly convinced that that will motivate quite a few people. Christopher is fairly senior in his company. And what we have picked up that there are fairly senior people that's under 35 that's very nervous to enter because they cannot be seen to fail. But when you listen to Christopher's journey, you get a whole new perspective on what this competition means and what the self-development is that you go through, even if you are a senior person. It's Women's Month, and we as industry women have really been spoiled with quite a few events, also inspiring. Thank you to all the companies who really went out of their way to treat the industry women. One of those were the GWIIG event, which was extremely inspiring, really touching. The FIA very recently had their virtual Women's Day event with Michael Mole, amongst others. He really touched on all the relevant stuff, all the stuff we as women would like to hear. So well done, FIA. I also had the honor to go and talk at Gallon Group. So it's just a monthly thing they do, but they decided to get women to speak in Women's Month. And I had the honor to go and chat to the people there. It was exciting to prepare for the talk. And while I did my research on what I was going to say, I bumped into a piece which I thought was quite quite interesting, and I'm fairly convinced some of you have heard it before. But listen to this. So it feels a bit far-fetched, but you never know. Welcome to the future of insurance, as seen through the eyes of Scott, a customer in the year 2030. Maybe we should say 2050. His digital personal assistant orders him a vehicle with self-driving capabilities for a meeting across town. Upon hopping into the arriving car, Scott decides he wants to drive today and move the car into active mode. Scott's personal assistant maps out a potential route and shares it with his mobility insurer, which immediately responds with an alternative route that has a much lower likelihood of accidents and auto damage, as well as the calculated adjustment to his monthly premium. Scott's assistant notifies him that his mobility insurance premium will increase by 4 to 8% based on the route he selects and the volume and distribution of other cars on the road. It also alerts him that his life insurance policy, which is now priced as a pay-as-you-live basis, will increase by 2% for this quarter. The additional amounts automatically debited from his bank account. When Scott pulls into his destination's parking lot, his car bumps into one of several parking signs. As soon as the car stops moving, its internal diagnostics determines the extent of the damage. His personal assistant instructs him to take 3 pictures of the front bumper area and 2 of the surrounding. By the time Scott gets back to the driver's seat, the screen on the dash informs him of the damage, confirms the claim has been approved, and reports that a mobile response drone has been dispatched to the lot for its inspection. If the vehicle is drivable, it may be directed to the nearest in-network garage for repairs after a replacement vehicle arrives. Anyway, I thought that was quite fascinating for us people working in insurance. And I felt it was worth sharing because the future is maybe closer than what we think. I do, however, believe that this might not be in my lifetime, in South Africa specifically, unless I live to 110, which my kids often tell me I don't wish upon any of us. Yeah. Over to the FA News August edition, which we have published recently, filled with incredible content. It's quite a whopper, one of the biggest ones we've had in a while. We really chuffed with our cover this month because of the first time, we always love to celebrate first, we have a cover with more than one person. We always have one person, one industry person on it. So for a change, we have a whole bunch of women, 6 women on the cover, all women. The women of Global Choices really went to town, and the content inside linked to the cover is really about the difference we as women bring to the industry. We're not better, it's just, there's a unique touch of empathy that we bring to specifically an environment where empathy is actually quite important. So make sure you have a look at our stunning cover. We've covered a lot, so except for the women's feature, we've got some messages from CEOs for women in the industry. We also have quite a big focus on NHI with various role players giving their input, talking about their concerns and the challenges NHI might bring. I think it's relevant to each and every one of us. So make sure you go and read that. It gives you quite a good perspective. Because it's not going to happen very soon, but the reality is that there are movement in a direction we not necessarily like. We have a few profiles to take note of. Amongst others, a focus on F&I insurance. I also chatted to Rashni Pillay, CEO of Swiss Re Corporate Solutions, about their offering and where they fit into the market. So some of the content worth mentioning, there's a lot. There is a lot. But Christine Rodriguez always talks about the fact that insurers can expect more regulation around business continuity management. Wimpie van der Merwe touches on embedded insurance and the opportunities and innovations we will see in this space. I'm sure this will happen in my lifetime. It's already starting. We also covered a webinar which we had earlier in the year around the biggest risks we face with obviously climate change and cyber as top of the list. We've got articles around risk management, tech, compliance, really something for everyone. And remember that you can earn 3 CPD hours per edition. So that gives you for 6 edition, your 18 hours if you don't find it anywhere else. So what's happening in the industry? The FIA Awards, always a big highlight for us, is on the 31st of August. And it's going to be interesting to see if it's the same winners and if we're going to see some fresh winners from the product provider side. So the FI Summit is also happening on the 3rd of October. For those who've not booked yet, the theme is the Prism Effect, the power of perspective. It is in person and it's happening at Sandton Convention Centre. The IMSA annual conference is also taking place. That is happening on 11 October at Gallagher Convention Centre. All these events are listed on the calendar.org.za. So if you are planning anything or you want to see what's going on, reminder to go and look on this platform. So thank you for listening to me. That is all for today. Enjoy the rest of your session. See you next month. This is Renette Whitehead, FI News Editor, TAI Founder, signing off.
Rianette, thank you for that. You always give us such a comprehensive update, and the effort that you put into preparing that really doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate having you here on InsureTalk. As usual, every month we have a wonderful entertainment insert, and that's what's up next. So it's time to go and grab a quick cup of coffee or a glass of water, come back, sit back and relax and enjoy the wonderful South African talent that we have on show here every month. Today we have John Neal. So he's from Pretoria, and we developed a very deep connection to music from an early age. It's interesting that we have that theme with all the South African artists that we've showcased over the 35 episodes of InsureTalk. Many of them starting so early in their lives. With roots grounded in his hometown, this artist's journey began at 16 when he started writing and playing music. During his early 20s, the bustling streets of Joburg and Pretoria became his stage, where he shared his music as a busking musician. Who's that other famous busking musician that did so well in the world? Justin Bieber. Despite the challenges, his determination never wavered, and after years of pursuing a record deal, fate intervened. In 2017, a turning point arrived when he relocated to the beautiful mother city, Cape Town, eager to explore a new chapter in the music scene. This moment came when he received a call from Just Music, the record label that had been eluding him. For their support, he recorded his debut album, Long Time Coming. And from there onwards, he has achieved a number of successes. He looks forward to 2024, where he sets his dreams on touring the United States. So I'm very much looking forward to our entertainment today.
Hi everybody, welcome to InsureTalk edition 35. My name is John Neal. I'm a musician from Cape Town, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys. Hope you enjoy. She's got a smile and it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories
where everything was fresh as a bright blue sky. Now and then when I see your face, it takes me away to that special place. If I stare too long, I'll probably break down and cry. Oh, oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet love of mine. She's got eyes of the bluest sky, and if they thought of rain, I'd hate to look into those eyes and see an ounce of pain. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I'd hide, pray for the thunder and the rain to quietly pass me by. Oh, oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet love of mine. Where do we go? Oh, where do we go? Where do we go, sweet child of mine? Oh, where do we go? Yeah, where do we go? Where do we go, sweet child of mine? Oh, oh, sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet love of mine. She's got a smile and it seems to me it reminds me of childhood memories where everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Alrighty, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. This next song that I'm going to play is called The Good Ones. It's a song that I actually recorded in this very studio a few years ago. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. I take the long road to anywhere I want. Don't spend my money on things I don't need, 'cause I came from nothing. Look, I still made something. I played my songs everywhere I went. Oh, on this highway that leads to nowhere, I heard that someday we all get to go there. But only the good ones, but only the good ones, but only the good ones, yeah, but only the good ones. I've had my honeys, real and fake and loud and sweet. Some just want my money, so I set them free. 'Cause I came from nothing. Look, I still made something. Play that song, yeah, everywhere I went. On this highway that leads to nowhere. I heard that someday we all get to go there. Yeah, but only the good ones. But only the good ones. But only the good ones. Yeah, but only the good ones, babe. But only the good ones. Woo! Alright, so the next song that I'm going to play is a song that we all know. I think it's from the 1970s. Sing along if you know the chorus. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, now stand by me. Just as long as you stand by me. If the sky that we look upon, yeah, should tumble and fall, and the mountain should crumble into the Cape Town Sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, now stand by me. Just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Would you stand by me just as long as you stand? Will you stand by me? Yeah. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy the music today, like I said, my name is John Neal. You guys can find me on Instagram at johnneal_music, and all of my music is available on Spotify, iTunes, all of the streaming platforms, and YouTube. You can look for an album called Long Time Coming, and a big song in South Africa is called Red Dress. See you guys next time. Cheers.
CN&CO Events proudly brings you InsureTalk Live 2023. The time has come to close your laptop and join us live. Network with industry leaders and influencers. Engage and learn from A-list speakers. Interact with top exhibitors. Experience the best live entertainment. And so much more. Register today. Visit cnandcoevents.com. InsureTalk Live 2023, shaping the future together. Register today.
Thank you, that was absolutely lovely. Now, I want to remind you of something. If you're registered and sitting here today in the audience, I think you know this already, but we just want to reiterate to those individuals who are new guests today. We've got the InsureTalk CPD portal, insuretalk.co.za. It's super, super simple. You download your CPD certificate there. You can register once off, and all your InsureTalk certificates for the 2023 series will be listed here throughout the year, making it so much easier to reach your CPD target for 2023. You might think, why do we repeat this every month? But you don't believe how many questions we still get about this. So please do us a favor. Llewellyn's going to drop the website address again in the chat now. Go and register. Make sure that you're in for the rest of the year, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can always go back to upload those certificates and keep them on record. Now, it's a special month. It's August. It's Women's Month. We've seen some wonderful celebrations of women around the industry. It's really fantastic to see how we do celebrate women in our industry and the leaders that we look up to. In my previous life, when I was with Elite Risk Acceptances, there was a wonderful woman who served on my board. We had an all-female board. I believe currently with Tarina, it's still an all-female board. And one of these directors on the Elite board is an absolutely wonderful individual. Tabile is our next speaker. She's the Chief Risk and Sustainability Officer at Old Mutual Insure. She is, prior to joining Old Mutual Insure, she was the General Manager Risk Management at the Road Accident Fund. She really does understand our world. And she was also an Associate Director at Deloitte. She is a certified internal auditor, certified risk professional, and was one of the first 10 certified risk management practitioners in the country. Tabile is also the this is such a big deal that we're getting to hear talk today. Tabile is also the president of the Institute of Risk Management South Africa. She has vast experience in governance, risk, compliance, business resilience, and combined assurance for the private sector, public sector, and consulting. Not to break any secrets to you right now, but Tabile is going to talk to us about risk. So on that note, Tabile, we are over to you.
Almost top of the afternoon to each and every one of you. I'm having a little bit of a situation here. Just give me a chance then. I think I might have to log out and log back in. Just give me a sec. I don't know what is happening here. Thank you so much. It looks like I am back. Can somebody just indicate to me that I'm audible? I'm able to hear me?
All good, thanks, Tabile.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you know, so some of us are BBTs, which is the born before technology. So sometimes things like this really do happen to us. But thank you so much. So firstly, thank you so much for the beautiful, for the beautiful introduction there. Really appreciate it. And indeed, I need to say that there is just no better way of actually talking about, or rather having this John giving us this soothing music as a foundation to lend this conversation that we will be having just now. So just allow me then to do the presentation. Guys, I promise you I had prepped everything up. It looks like, let me see if we are seeing my presentation. Able to see my presentation? Yeah, I hope I have logged with.
Yes, just go to full presentation mode, please, Tabile. We can see PowerPoint, but just go to full presentation.
Is it not? Is it on full presentation mode now?
No, not
or
yet.
is it the wrong presentation? Okay, let's see. Wait, give me a sec here again. Let me just share. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, we can see it. Thank you.
Oh, finally. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So I was basically just saying that it's such a beautiful, foundation that John has laid with his beautiful music, as we'll be having this conversation around the risks. I'm sure then talking about the risk landscape, it's very easy for us to be overwhelmed by all this negativity. But just today, I want to also just remind ourselves that risk is not only about threats, but it's both threats and opportunities. I know that many a times we forget about looking at the opportunities that lies just beneath the surface of the threats or of the risk as such. We tend to focus mostly on the threats, but the secret is that victory comes from finding the solutions in the problems. For instance, if we just take the energy crisis that we have been facing, it accelerated the transition into the green energy, emergence of the innovation and the new SMEs, who are the cornerstones really of our economy. So that is the background that I just want to give. And indeed, as I will be talking about all this, the risk landscape and the risk trends, I just appeal to you guys that never lose sight of the opportunities and the possibilities that could be brought about such. So my conversation then for today, I'm gonna be looking at. Okay, I'm trying to get into my next slide now. What is going on? Guys, let me stop sharing and unshare again. Let's try. Okay.
Great, we can see it then. Maybe just check at the bottom left, there might be arrow keys as well. Just click on one of those and then you can continue.
It just does not want to move. I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong
just
here,
click on the screen on your presentation. Just click on it once and see if you can move then.
There we go. Got it. All right. So today, really, I'm going to be talking about the risk landscape. What are we observing in the risk space? I will be bringing in the South African risk for 2023 as identified by the Institute of Risk Management in South Africa. And then I will be talking about the risks that are facing us as the industry, and then ultimately the opportunities that we can actually pursue as the industry. So our risk landscape. What we are seeing, and actually EMSA has coded it or actually gave it a name already of saying we are operating in the polycrisis, or what is called the permacrisis, others call it permacrisis, meaning that we've got all these crises, all these disruptions and all these risks that are happening more or less at the same time. So we are seeing our risks actually being so interconnected that compounding, they pushing beyond, the boundaries or the risk categories that we have seen. We're seeing some of the global risks really, really impacting us even locally, and also impacting us even at the country level, at the continental level, and also at the industry level. But what we are also observing is that we see most of these risks repeating themselves, and they're actually not new. If I just give you practical examples around this, let's take maybe, for instance, let's take the floods. So you'd remember that as old as 1927, I think that there was a Mississippi floods, but we've also been observing all these hurricanes and the flooding that is happening in the North and the South Carolina. And then if we bring it closer to home, you would remember in 1987 in KZN, we had those floods as well that were pretty much crucial, critical, or actually caused a lot of damages as well. So we've got that. If you look at the fires, for instance, we've been having this in Canada, California. You're also going to remember that back home here in South Africa, we've had the Knysna fires as well. The financial crisis that we're facing from last year until now, we've had such crises in 2008. I was even looking at the load shedding that we are currently facing. We've actually had load shedding late 2007, and then all the way up to 2008. That is when then we also had load shedding. So like I'm trying to say then that, you know what, truly speaking, these risks are not new at all. They are just increasing in the severity and also in the frequency. And that is the big observation that we are seeing in our risk landscape. Maybe if I can just zoom on, on the weather, because that is one of the things that are pretty much close to us as the insurance industry. We have seen the frequency of the catastrophe claims increasing from 6 in 1991 all the way up to 36 and now in this decade. And that is pretty much an indication that the frequency is really, really increasing. We're seeing that the floods, the wildfires, and the severe storms, they definitely remain the most frequently occurring natural perils in this year, starting from last year. And also, just maybe to still look at the weather related, when you look at the severity, just to also demonstrate that the severity of some of these risks are actually increasing, we can look at what is happening on this graph. Between 2000 and 2011, the average annual CAT claims were sitting at 39 million. If you look at now, between 2012 and 2022, the average annual CAT claims is sitting at 371 million. And that just tells you our reinsurance claims have exceeded 80 billion in South Africa over the last 3 years. So really, just to sum it up then on the landscape, we are definitely seeing an increase in the severity and also in the frequency of these risks. However, like I said, they are not new risks. So the good news that you can take out of here, because, if you remember when we started the conversation, is that I want us to look at the positive side of things. I want us to be optimistic. I want us to seize and extract the opportunities. So the good news out of this is that we have got the playbook of these scenarios. And we can also, learn the lessons and take the advantage, from the countries that have navigated this, including ourselves, because we have had some of these disruptions before. So we need to just take advantage of being part of the global network where the information is readily available and the data is readily available to prepare ourselves. Because really, and nowadays, it's not about really trying to speculate or predict what the risk is going to be, but it's about being prepared, that in case any risk comes about, we are able to navigate through that and land on the other side of the disruption. And the overall one in here is that we have to really learn the lessons. We need to analyze and implement the lessons that we've learned from the previous disruptions and from the previous risks that have materialized. And the reason why you have to do that, it's because the quote that I love, it says, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. So if we then move into what EMSA has identified as the 2023 top risks for the country, we've got top 10 risks there, and 6 of these top 10 risks, I believe they've got a direct impact on the industry. Firstly, let me talk about the top country risks first. So all the other risks, or majority of the risks that we've got there, they're hooking on the failed state, meaning South Africa becoming a failing state, or as some commentators, they say we are already a failed state. But the reason why that is the case, it is because of all the things that have been happening, from the grey listing, to the potential secondary sanctions that we might be facing, the infrastructure, the failing infrastructure, for instance, and the disruptions on essential services, the triple cares, which is the poverty, inequality, and unemployment, which is quite high. And we've got quite a very high number of the SMEs that are closing down. And like I said, they are becoming the cornerstone of our economy. So the issue of unemployment, the issue of the infrastructure, I think in some cases we actually see the infrastructure that impacts us, which is, the roads, the electricity, the fire services, all of those things, and the disruptions in those infrastructure has got an impact on how then South Africa is actually viewed. I've spoken already, the national grid failure. I cannot maybe talk about the country risk without highlighting that. And if you also look at the economic side, we've got the one of the risk called economic collapse. In the past 10 years, our GDP growth in South Africa has not reached the 2%. And that tells you that our economic side has been a little bit stagnant, or sometimes other people, as they say it is actually going back. So we are saying all of these risks, there might be the country risk, but us as an industry, we are fully impacted by them. And then looking on the left-hand side of the slide to talk about the impact that this has got, I'm sure you guys on the call, you will really agree with me that we are now seeing our insurance and the reinsurance market very much hardening. That the cost of reinsurance is getting high, the capacity is being reduced, the appetite of reinsurance is getting reduced by the reinsurers, and that is mainly attributed to some of these external factors or to some of these key risks that we are facing as the country. If you look at the geopolitical instability as an example, whatever that is happening in Russia and Ukraine has got an impact maybe on the cost of claims, because the cost of living is high. The cost of some of the goods and of the goods that we're using and the products that we're using is actually getting a little bit expensive. And also, some of the assets are becoming uninsurable for the very same reason that I have mentioned, that the fire services might not be working, the roads might not be working, the grid failure, and so it goes on. So all of these things that are happening at the country level have got a huge impact on us as an industry. Again, the other thing that we are starting to see, it's the lower demand for insurance, or the shrinking industry. Actually, if I can just borrow it from the TransUnion reports that they issued in June 2023, they indicated that the car sales decreased by 12%. And then obviously this was due to the prices of the vehicle that is quite high, and also the diminishing disposable income. They also mentioned that the short-term insurance industry, new business volumes have dropped by 9.1 in 2023 year to date. They're picking up as well that the cancellation of the policies are going up for the total market. So all of these things have got a huge impact then on our growth challenges and also on our profitability. And it will be amiss of me not to talk about the people risk. We need the very same people who are affected by all these things that are happening from the external environment to execute on our strategies, service our customers, come up with all the innovation, navigate the organization through into the future. But with all these things that are happening, it all comes down to them. So we are also seeing people risk being one of those things that organizations need to be focusing on, because if we don't really take care of our people, we might not be able to achieve what we ought to be doing, because there's a huge dependency on our people. So this really, with the slide, I'm trying to demonstrate, or rather I am demonstrating, that the industry remains very, very sensitive to the current external operating environment, which is why then I believe that as the industry, we cannot sit back and then maybe expect or rely fully on the government to be able to mitigate them. all hands on deck. Yes, there are roles that need to be done by the government, certainly. However, there are things that us as the industry, we should actually be doing. So we've looked at the profile of the country, and then we've sifted it. We said, okay, guys, what are the things that can be done by the government, and what are the things that can be done by different industries? And then obviously zoomed at our own industry, which is the insurance industry. So the first thing is that we believe that we can do our own internal enhancements, as the industry. I will break this down as to what exactly I mean by that. The second thing is that we can have lots of partnerships. It could be the triple P, which is the public-private partnerships, but we can also partner within ourselves as the industry. We can partner with the academias. We can partner with the InsureTechs. We can partner even locally and globally, because the boundaries are no longer an issue. So that's the second thing that we believe we can do. And then the third one is investing. We can invest in some of these things that we are facing, like the infrastructure that is broken. But again, like I said, I will be just unpacking that because my take and my approach, and as the theme of my conversation today, is that we have to seize the opportunities that lie beneath what seems to be the threat for us. We need to think and act differently if we have to sustain our organizations and lend ourselves into the future. We definitely need to be doing things a bit differently. So let us zoom on what I believe we can actually do as an industry. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you guys, you can look at that. For instance, the first thing that you can do is enhancing our modeling capability. So we are able then to improve the risk selection and the pricing. We're able to prepare for the impact, and we're able to raise the climate risk as well in the organization, because the climate change risk is one of the critical risks that we are facing as an industry. Same as the grid failure is one of those big risks that we are facing as the industry. So we can definitely enhance our modeling. We can look at the resilience muscle. I really love this one. What I'm talking about on the resilience muscle building, it's really about, my observation is that we will be living in an environment that is full of such disruptions, that's got all these things that we are facing. So we might not be able to predict what is going to be the next risk that is going to hit us. However, we should be able to empower our decision makers on what to do should a disruption occur. Because what matters the most in times of disruption is the decision making. So we have to do the scenarios and the simulations whereby we take the decision makers and the critical stakeholders within the organization through these simulations, so that they're able to know what to do in times of in times of crisis or in times of disruptions. So I'm very big on that in us preparing more than us maybe trying to predict. The financial inclusion, that's another part that you can play in. It's a huge opportunity that you can play in as an industry. What I mean by that is that we have already mentioned that our SMEs, we've got a very high rate of failing SMEs. But as the industry, we can actually support some of the SMEs that are within our value chain. As an example, we can not only through the ESG, but also just from doing this thing beyond just trying to sort out the scorecard, but doing it in order for us to have a sustainable, sustainable industry. We need to, be part of upskilling for the future skills as well. We know that there's a little bit of a skills shortage. If the government is trying to, to roll out or revive the TVETs, it's an area that we can start to look at as the industry to try and play in. The second last is that sustainability. It is really all about not trying to defend our current margins at the expense of the future revenues, but it's about solving tomorrow's problems today in the most sustainable manner. So sustainability, I'm sure you guys know, it's one of those big things that we need to be playing in. As Old Mutual Insure, actually as the group, there's 3 sustainability goals that we are focusing on, of which then resilience is part of the sustainability goal that we are looking at. I've spoken about maybe the issue of the reinsurance and the toughening reinsurance market, again, which is attributed to all these external factors that I have spoken about. So there's a massive opportunity for us to look at building our own reinsurance capacity. And then lastly, we have to look at we have to look at diversifying our products, and also just looking at possibility of even incentivizing the policyholders who are going in there to do the risk mitigation or minimizing the risks. And then lastly, yes, that is why then I said these are internally focused. So also us as an industry, we still need to keep ourselves relevant. We need to make sure that we are still delivering and servicing our customers. We need to be able that we are really securing our margins. We get into the preventative mode, and we actually take advantage of the era that we are in, which is the digital era. And then in this regard, I've got a video that I just want to play for you. And then as it plays, the question that I want to ask you is, how far close or how far out are you with regards to this scenario? This looks like it's the claim process of the future using the AI and taking advantage of the digital space.
No. It's just construction. That's all. No. I'm not driving. Are you okay? Yeah. You? I'm good. Oh, no, not you. Listen, I'm going to have to call my agent. I'm going to get right back to you.
Mr. Burton, this is InsureCorp. We've received sensor data that indicates you were in an accident. Are you injured in any way?
I'm not injured, no.
Is anyone else injured?
I don't believe so.
Okay, where's my agent's number?
We have pinpointed your location, and we are showing your car is not drivable. So we are dispatching an Uber car to take you to your destination.
That would be great.
I'm pressing 1. English. E-N-G-L-I, English.
May we give your coordinates to our appraiser drone to perform the appraisal?
Absolutely.
We have received the photos, assessed the damage, authorized the repair, selected a qualified repair facility, and have dispatched a tow truck to take your vehicle to that facility.
Perfect.
Yes, hi, this is... Yes, I'll hold.
We have looked up the other vehicle's insurance, transmitted the appropriate data to create the claim, and filed the California SR1 accident report. Can you confirm the information is correct on your phone, then hit the accept button?
I'll check it right now. Okay, all done.
Thank you. Your Uber car is arriving now.
I see it coming.
Accident, not payment. Accident.
Your tow truck should be there now. Don't forget to leave your keys in the vehicle. Thank you for using InsureCorp, powered by Pivotal Labs.
So, as I said, that was my question to you. This video is 6 years old. So the question is that how close are we to having seamless processes like that? I know that some components of this, probably we do have them already. Yes, I know that some of the components might not be implemented here in our beautiful country, because we definitely could be paying for a totally different claim, like leaving your keys in the car. However, all that you are saying is that our customers are starting to want and drive for such kind of service. And the question is like, are we ready as an industry for that? And then the second component of the opportunities that I believe maybe they're more externally focused is the partnering. We've got a huge opportunity as the industry to partner on flood and fire prevention initiatives. I believe that we can collaborate on the projects that are about investing in resilience. I've already said my view is that as an industry, we went through a lot and we really navigated maybe through the different disruptions that we've been experiencing in the few years, from the COVID to the inflation to the floods. And our approach has been around de-risking. It has been around exclusion, has been around increasing the prices, which in my view might not be sustainable. It helps for us to protect our margins, current margins. However, we are doing that at the risk of losing the future revenue, which is why then my thinking is it not an opportunity for us as an industry, to my point here, invest in resilience, a project, to see that if we know that there's a flood line, there's a flood line, or we've got all these maybe properties as an example in the flood line that we'll be using maybe for modeling for our capital, for the financial aspect of things, we should maybe be looking at the sustainability, because if we invest in things like these amphibian houses or the spawn cities, we are able to secure our future revenue instead of, so it's more like a sustainable way of looking at things than the short, or the current way of looking things. I genuinely, one of the things that I really speak about and I love and most is the spawn cities, because that helps with both the droughts and also the floods. And if we as an industry start to tap into that era, we are able to address both El Nino and La Nina. All that we need to do, we need to collaborate, we need to partner. As I always say, my view is that some of these disruptions and some of these risks that you are facing as an industry, they are not like an old mutual insured risk or Hollard risk or Santam risk, and so it goes on, that we are all facing the same ones. So some of them might not be dealt with through competition, but through collaboration. There's a huge opportunity for us as an industry to collaborate amongst ourselves, and collaborate also maybe with the government, and collaborate with anybody and whoever, even the decision makers, the policy makers, even those builders that are actually building, developers, for instance. There is a big opportunity for us to do that. And just one last video that I want to play with you. Again, I'm talking about how we can take advantage of the AI, and then see what it is that we can collaborate in, or what sort of AI is available and out there for us to look at. That is our future, and we know that some of the challenges that we're facing. I've spoken about the infrastructure disruptions and the failure. Us as an industry, these are some of the things that we can collaborate on and that we can actually look at. As I close, I want to close with this quote: "The best way of predicting the future is to create it. Let us create the future that we'd love to live in." Thank you very much.
Tabile, thank you. That was very insightful, and we must not forget, whether we work for insurer, reinsurer, broker, UMA, risk sits at the core of everything that we do. So thank you for that very strong message and reminder again today. We have arrived to the last speaker of this very, very interesting lineup today. Now, as you know, the insurance industry is nothing without the reinsurers. It's just been confirmed again that Munich Re is the largest reinsurance company on the planet. And we have the great pleasure and honor to have Daphne Sitoli here today. She is the senior facultative underwriter at Munich Re South Africa, and she's going to talk to us on the topic of a reinsurer's view on trends, opportunities, and challenges in the market. I think it's just, good manners, I would say, to tell you a little bit about Daphne. As I said, she's a senior property underwriter within the facultative business unit at Munich Re. She's been with Munich Re for 23 years, and Daphne is therefore a seasoned reinsurance underwriter. And she's got underwriting experience in casualty, marine, and property underwriting. She holds a BCom degree in financial management. She completed business studies with Gibbs and virtually with Oxford University. She also holds a fellowship status with the IISA. So looking forward to our final speaker of the day. Thank you, Daphne.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I hope you can see my my presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Daphne.
Okay, wonderful. I was going to go back again. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Crystal. Wow, just to present, to be the last speaker after that amazing presentation by Tabile. Wow. Yeah, but thank you. That was quite insightful. Okay, so my topic today is a reinsurer's view on the trends, opportunities, and challenges in the market. And you will see that it very much aligns to what Tabile's presentation. You would really swear that we had spoken. Yeah, so, all right, I'm going to get right to it. So on the agenda, I will be looking at just a quick lens of what Munich Re is all about. We'll look at the climate change, and which is one of humanity's greatest challenges. We'll look at the catastrophes in the Southern Africa region and also the current challenges in our local market. As I said, that it will very much intertwine with what Tabile has already shared. I promise we didn't share presentations. I didn't know she was going to talk about some of the stuff that I will be covering as well. So about Munich Re. Munich Re is a leading reinsurer, also partnering with largest corporates in the world. Also, as Crystal has said, definitely nicely said it, that it is one of the largest reinsurers, and we are your partner. The same collaboration and partnership that Tabile was talking about, Munich Re thrives on that. As a reinsurer, we thrive on partnering with our corporates, partnering with our cedents, partnering with our brokers and the likes. So we're here to service our market, and we have Munich Re has been around for 143 years old. It was founded in 1880. The group result for 2022 was at 3.4 billion euro, and last week we received the mid-yearly results, the half-yearly results, and we are halfway there, and we're already above what we were last year this time. So Munich Re is also effective 1 Jan 2023. We've started reporting our financial data according to the new financial reporting standards, which is the IFRS 9 and the IFRS 17. Obviously, we have a rating of A+, which is with most of actually I would say all the rating agencies, and Munich Re of Africa obviously benefits from this rating from our parent company. If I look at the number of employees at Munich Re across, it's 41,389 across in over 50 countries. So in our region in Africa, Munich Re is usually reinsurance. So we may not be aware that Munich Re has a primary insurance, which is called EGO. So in other regions, Munich Re is a primary insurer. So you will see that it equates for 67%, and reinsurance is only 31%. So it's about 13,000 employees within the group are in the reinsurance. Then we have another 2%, which is a MEAG, and that is usually the asset management side of Munich Re. As it is our head office is in Munich, in Germany, it makes sense that 47% of our staff is in Germany, and the rest of Europe will be 35%. And if you look in Africa and the Middle East, we are 0.5%. Makes sense because here in Johannesburg, we are just over 200 employees sitting in Johannesburg. We've actually moved into Rosebank in September last year. Under the Munich Re group, we also have what we call Munich Re FNC, which is facultative and corporate. So the FNC usually is about 600 experts represented in over 20 countries. That will be your Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. So the aim of the FNC within the Munich Re group is to bundle our worldwide facultative and corporate business in one unit that is allowing to explore new opportunities beyond our traditional business, being close to corporate clients and collaborating and being partners with our clients within our regions. So what we offer as FNC would be the property. I am in the property team in facultative team. So that would be property, engineering, casualty, energy, cyber solutions, new risk solutions, which which are non-traditional, but just new risks like your cybers, your silent cybers, your global warming and all the likes, and the parametric products. And also the most important one for me also is your solution, where we are looking at providing solutions for our market and being that preferred partner within the areas of operation. So within the facultative team in Johannesburg, we have Simon Robinson, who is our head of underwriting on the facultative, and this is the engineering team. So we have two senior underwriters, being Pilani Mbata and Falco. Falco sits in Munich, and so he is responsible for 50% of our business here in Africa. So he's part of our African team, although he sits in Munich. Thomas Kibet is originally from Kenya, so he looks after the East Africa market. Romeo is French speaking, so he's obviously looks after the French market, West Africa and the Francophone. And our Nomkolisi is the SADC and the Mid of Africa. And Hlengiwe is also our engineering underwriter. Then you have myself and David Julius, who are senior underwriters in the property team. And I look after SADC and also East Africa. David will look after the Lusophone going all the way to Angola and all the Portuguese-speaking markets. And we have Kifense, Rendane, and Sivenati also looking after the markets in South Africa, in the middle of the Africa. And Kejani is our casualty underwriter, and he looks after the entire sub-Saharan. Is the only one in the casualty side on the FAC. And we have an opening for a property underwriter that is French speaking. So if you are interested or know anybody, you can reach out to us or to our HR, so you can send through your CV, because we need somebody quite urgently in that position. Okay, so I'm going to get into our topic. Which is climate change, one of humanity's greatest challenges. It definitely is a challenge. So part of our climate risks would be the wildfires. We know of the California wildfires. I think last week already there are some fires again in California. We know of tropical cyclones. We know of thunderstorms, drought, flood, which is also big in our region. So if you're looking at, when we look at this linear graph, you could say that in the last century, the linear temperature, it rose up to 1.2 degrees Celsius. So when we look at that, it doesn't seem like much. Because if you go outside on the street, you're not going to feel, if it was 16 degrees and now it's 17.2, you're not really going to feel anything. It doesn't make much difference. So, however, this is very important because it is the linear temperatures trend. It has a direct impact on if you look on your right-hand graph, that it increases the probability of the distributions. So just that 1.2%, 2 degrees Celsius has a direct impact on the probability, and then it makes it warmer or colder. And I'm sure that we've all experienced our colleagues in Munich, they'll tell you they have the heat waves. And then this side we had snow in was it late July or early August in Joburg. So the climate, global warming and climate change is affecting us in so many ways. So yeah, so this is then, that is when the Paris Agreement came into impact in 2016, where it is building on the convention, and for the first time brings all nations into common cause to undertake ambitious efforts in order to for climate change and to adapt to its effect. So so the target for the Paris Agreement was 2 degrees Celsius. However, that is a little bit too high. That is now for the next 100 years, for the next century, we're looking at increasing that. However, the actual target that they've put out there is to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So Munich Re, as an environmental conscious business, will play its part in meeting the targets of this Paris Agreement. I am sure that if you're doing business with us on the facultative side, you may have heard some, us saying, we're not going to take a new mining risk, especially if it's coal. We're not going to take an oil and gas because we have those targets, so that the existing ones we will carry on, but we're not taking any new mining risks or coal, actually not just mining risk, but coal or anything that is ESG related. And I think our first speaker as well, Antonia, also mentioned that some of the customers and the European companies are committed to ESG. This is a great move in our market. Also tying in with what Tabile said also, that it's not just reinsurers that are doing it. It's not that the insurance company that are doing it, but it's the entire market where we need to have a mind shift. We need to have a paradigm shift in the way we think. And it's good that the customers as well, you find people that are more ESG conscious, where in terms of what do you do with your plastics? Do you use plastics? What type of food are you hurting your environment, or are you looking after your environment? So this is a good move for the market. So the climate change today, and it has the physical and economic impacts of global warming until the end of the century. So if we talk about the physical risks, where climate change affects property, industry, infrastructure, and health, that they could be very severe, especially if warming exceeds about 3%, 3 degrees Celsius, which we don't even want to get to that, because we at least looking at the first 1.5 degrees Celsius, at least for the next 100 years. So if you look at the first ways, the sea levels are rising. I mean, some experts are saying that in the next 50 years, most of the country will be underwater. So except Joburg, I think Joburg, we're 1.8 meters above sea level. So if you are in Joburg, you're safe. But everybody else around the coast, you may have to move to Johannesburg. But yeah, seriously though, the sea levels, we know that they're increasing, and the coastal assets, we need to defend them. And there's an increase in the rain, as we know that, increase in the wildfire, and and because of, if you think about it, also the developments that we're having, where previously there was grass and there was the veld, so the water would be absorbed by the grass and the soil and whatever. But now with the the new developments that are happening now, it's concrete. And there's really very little drainage, in these areas. So of course, what are we going to do with all that rainwater, So it will flood. So it is the infrastructure, it is everything else that is, all involved in that. So when we look at the economical outcome, the climate change directly and indirectly impacts the economic outcomes, such as the agriculture output and the critical economic resources, manufacturing, energy production, transport, and other services. So, it also impacts on the food supply. The insurance opportunities are less, because when we all know, especially in the not so advanced, I would say, economic areas, rural areas, because insurance is seen as a luxury. So if really you are stranded and you don't have food and all of that, the last thing you want is insurance. So the insurance opportunities then has an impact, because less people then take insurance. And as we know, if people, there's a economical, what is it? When it goes, not sanctions, but when, economic is going down, I can't think now, my brain is going too fast. When it's going down, the first thing that goes out is insurance covers, So yeah. Oh yeah, when there's an economic recess. So what I wanted to check on this particular slide was in 2022 to look at the NetCat events in 20, which were losses up to USD 270 billion rand. That was worldwide. We know that the Hurricane Ian was the biggest one in the US. So the overall loss was 100 billion. But the insured loss was only 60% of that at 60 billion. So the fatalities were over 150. So this is said that the overall loss in most cases is much higher than obviously than the insured losses. And I will have another slide there where we would look at that in more detail. So if another one that really caught my attention was I'm not going to look at all of them, but I'm sure you can just glance through all of them quickly. And these all happened last year in 2022. The floods in Pakistan between June and October. That was very sad because although the overall loss was 15 billion USD, but the fatalities is 1,740 people. These are human lives, obviously, that have been lost that can never come back, you know. So we make it also into this frame because the floods in Durban, as we all know, in KZN, with an overall loss of 3.5 billion USD and only with the insured losses of 1.8 billion. So yeah, this was just a global view that I wanted to share with you as well. So if we look at catastrophes in the southern region is not just the SADC, but we're looking at Mauritius, we're looking at the Sub-Saharan, that's just below the south of the equator. So that is from 1980 to 2019. As you can see here, the red would be the insured losses and the blue pulse will be the overall losses. So these are way above, as always, that the insured losses are much, much lower than the actual losses that we're experiencing in our market. I am sorry. Am I still there? I just got kicked out of my presentation. Is anybody there?
Yes, just click on PowerPoint again. Just click on PowerPoint again. We can see your screen share. Just click on PowerPoint. You've stopped screen share.
Oh, you can see that? Okay.
Now
can you see it now?
The screen share. Just share again.
Okay. I tell you, technology, hey? Can you see it now?
Yes, we can. Yeah. And just click on
Brilliant. Thank you. Now I must go back to where I was. Apologies for that. It just kicked me out. All right, I think we were here. Yeah. Are we all on the same?
Yes, thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So on this particular screen, you would see that the green bars, actually, they are the losses that were suffered in all the different countries. And then the dark blue would be the insured losses. And they go from drought to your typhoons, to your cyclones, to your flash floods and your actual floods. So the overall losses for that period were 40 billion USD, and only 10% of that was the actual insured losses. And I don't need to remind you because we all went through this in 2020, where we suffered COVID, all of us, you know. The whole, yeah, it was one of the worst that have happened to humankind, and the market loss on that was 10 billion rand for life and non-life. This is from the reinsurer's point of view and what we were reinsuring at that time. And of course, the contingency lines were the ones that were mainly affected, your business interruption and all of that, and some discounts for motor drivers because their vehicles were parked at home, so they had some reduction in premiums because of that. Obviously, that has a rippling effect to us as reinsurers. So there was a loss in premium. And if we look at the July riots, which was a market loss again of about 30 billion, and with Sasria absorbing the bulk of it, but they had to recover the, part of that from the reinsurance program. And I know that as Munich Re, these were very interesting discussions with the Sasria renewal. So that was another disturbance or disrupting, effect or event within our insurance industry. So we look at the KZN floods as well, correctly said by Tabile as well, that these were very similar to the 1987 floods, and these were just as devastating, with 461 fatalities and the market loss of over 40 billion. Various estimates. The large Toyota plant was submerged underwater for several days, and it is said that it is probably the single largest loss, at 88% of the vehicles on site had to be scrapped. So so because of that, also reinsurers had to increase prices. They had to reduce capacities, and some of the overseas reinsurers also withdrew their capacity. But it wasn't Munich Re. We didn't reduce our capacity. So if we look at the responses from the insurance and reinsurance market as due to the three events that we've just spoken about. So as we said, that there was introduction of specific location deductibles. I know for a fact that in some of the locations that were sea facing or that had larger losses, there was introduction of flood deductibles, and some policies sublimited with the flood exposure. If the loss limit was maybe 3 billion, the flood exposure would be maybe at 1 billion or even 500 million. So higher attachment points were introduced in the market. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, that there were reduced capacities. So within, especially for occupations that are situated in the KZN area. So in terms of transparency, reinsurers were asking for more risk details. We couldn't just write at global values. We want to know each and every, the locations and the values of the locations, because we have to geocode for that. And also geocoding data and engaging with experts and all of that was very important. And again, I mentioned Tabile because I really enjoyed her presentation when she was talking about the collaboration. And I know that there are clients that have already started collaborating with the experts in geodata, the geodata experts, flood experts, universities that have all the flood information of South African flood information. So we can risk model our areas, and we can charge the correct premium for that exposure, in those areas. And that is very important. That collaboration and that transparency and that working together needs to be, to be inclusive, including brokers, insureds, cedents, everybody, not just the reinsurers coming down with the with the terms and conditions, but everybody playing, because this is our market and this is our beloved country and our beloved continent. So so we're gonna focus on the grid failure. So my next topic is the ones that is the challenges that we're facing as a market, but focusing again on the grid interruption. I don't have to tell any of us as South Africans what is load shedding and what is grid interruption, because it has tested us in many ways than we can all imagine. And I'm sure all of us had to say the serenity prayer that, Lord, grant me the serenity to change the things I can change, the wisdom to know the difference and to accept the things that I cannot change. I know that I've messed up that prayer, but it goes something like that. But so we've had to learn resilience and all of that. So as reinsurers, we've had to look at the grid interruption and what it looks like and what it could lead to. So I hope I can take the next 5 minutes just to look at this. So, and I'm not an engineer, but I'm going to try and explain what grid interruption looks like from the experts. So it is said that according to NASA Energy Code, the heartbeat of energy sits in the frequency between 47.5, which we will look below here on the map. On this graph, it says between 47.5 to the top at 552.5 hertz. And this is the area where Eskom is able to function between these. If we drop below 47.5 hertz, then there is too much draw on the power. So Eskom needs to shed some load. If we are more than 52.5 at the top there, hertz, then we are producing too much electricity. So Eskom islands the generators, by disconnecting them from the grid. In either case, the heartbeat will then be non-rhythmic because it can cause the grid to collapse. In other words, grid failure exists out of the range of 47.5 and 52.5 hertz. I hope that made some sense. So 50 hertz is the output which Eskom must maintain. This is because machinery will be damaged if it's any lower or higher. We understand that, and I guess that's why the previous CEO was also trying to maintain the machinery so that it doesn't go over. And so load shedding is a mechanism in which level is maintained, so that it's leveled into that. So for example, if we did not implement stage 1 load shedding, you will see that the grid will sit at 49.15 hertz. If we did not implement stage 6 loading, then it will be at 48.7 hertz. If you can see there. So then the Eskom operator is responsible for 24/7 monitoring of the country's grid stability and determining the level of load shedding which needs to be implemented. I mean, this team is excellent. They're excellent at putting down your electricity on the clock, but bringing it back, sometimes it's 15 past, 20 past, or half past, but they are excellent in knowing. They've really excelled in this area where they know how much maintaining that and putting down the grid and all of that. So yeah, that was just the technical feedback on what the load shedding and the grid is all about. But us as reinsurers, what do we do? What are the possible remedies? And as the government wants to add capacity to the grid, and government is investing in those incentives where we can add to the grid, or going solar, as we look at the top, the renewables, and encouraging people to go solar so that there's not so much dependence on the grid. So Sasol is the largest producer of food products and chemicals from coal, and they announced in late 2022 that they will be partnering with South Africa's biggest steel producer to explore carbon capture technology and steel production using green hydrogen. So this is Eskom, Sasol also working into, getting into the renewable energies so that we can use a lot more renewables, so we don't rely so much on coal, which has a huge impact on our ESG as well. So if we look at the global perspective on the experienced grid interruptions, you would see that South Africa is really not special in a way that we're the only country in the world that has experienced this. So in Pakistan, for instance, this year, 220 million people were impacted where the grid interrupted for 12 hours. That was because of the voltage fluctuations and due to generators producing too much power. So exactly when we were the first slide that we had, where if it produces more than 52.5, then we may have a problem. So yeah, it has to stay within those hertz that have already been indicated. So also, if I look in Germany in 2005, 2 weeks, where because of the ice storm, dozens and transmission towers, they collapsed. So there could be a number of reasons why we would have an absolute grid interruption, whether it's a week, whether it's 5 hours, whether it's a few weeks, or so it's possible. So these are the causes that can cause, that can happen to cause a complete grid failure. So mindful of my time as well. So just a quick one, that a grid interruption could be caused by a physical damage scenario or a non-physical damage. It can range from a period of hours to weeks to a scale to that can range from large, local and to a large scale. So anything, could be being hacked. It could be a number of reasons that can, So another point that I wanted to make on this one is that the Eskom system operator maintains a 2,000 gigawatt in reserve at all times, and has 3 black start facilities, But internationally, the regulation says that because of the size of our country, we could get away with just 2 black starts in our facilities. So these black start facilities are the defibrillator that would be used to restart the heartbeat of electricity in case of a total grid failure. So if we had a complete grid failure, there are these black starts that can be, that could be used. However, these black start facilities have been working, if they are warm and have been working, it will take about 5 hours to restart the grid. But if they are cold, it could take about 3 days to 2 weeks to get them up and running, because the plant has to warm up before it functions in order for it not to break, So it should be noted that having to restart the grid will be very complex, exercise. So we could find ourselves that we may have, be without power for longer periods. It is possible. I know that it is possible, and sometimes we shy it away and we think, no, it may not. But the complete grid failure is possible in South Africa, as we've seen that in the other areas of the world. It has also happened. But I'm going to skip this, and then I just want to get to the last presentation here. Second last, sorry about that, where we're looking at, now that we have been through the background of the energy crisis in South Africa and the scenario that we are concerned about, we need to talk about the insurability. Can we insure grid failure? We know that for something to be insured, it has to be sudden and unforeseen. But the grid failure, we cannot say it's sudden and unforeseen, because we know that there is a possibility that it can happen. So, how do we insure it? Do we want to insure it? If you want to insure it, great. How do you put your premium into that? How do you, charge a risk adequate premium? It could be very complex. And if we look at also at the traditional areas of coverage, being your standard utility extensions, your extended utilities clause, your extended premises extensions, all of these are non-physical damage, and they could affect your business interruption premiums quite largely. So, and we know also the GDP also, Tabile touched on that, how it has reduced, we're running around 2% increase or whatever, or it hasn't really moved. It hasn't made much move on that. So grid failure is an interrupter in our markets, and what are we going to do about it? So if you do decide that you want to put it as an exclusion, and as Minikri, we're not prescribing to the market that this is the exclusion you can make or put on your policies or whatever, but we are giving some considerations to say, if you do want to put an exclusion, you need to at least have these following exclusions here. So what we need to ask ourselves as reinsurers is that if we believe a large-scale grid interruption is insurable or not, and where is the limit of insurability, and where does it end? Is it because when we looked at it at our own, we were like, do we just insure? Is it if it affects Gauteng, which is about 15 million people in Gauteng, or is it when it affects more than 2 provinces? Is it when it affects more than 2 municipalities? Where is it? Where do you put your exposure? And all of that. So if we deem it to be uninsurable and want it to be addressed through an exclusion, then the following considerations have to be given. So if we look at the definitions, they have to be, it's always, even the ombudsman, everybody is like, what is the man on the street? When you're looking at your wordings, what is the man of the street understand of that wording? So your definitions have to be clear, and they have to be, not ambiguous at all. And then you look at the geographical scope. As I said, that is it, how many, is it 2 municipalities? Is it 3 provinces? Is it the whole country where you can take it? And we know also that the lack of maintenance cannot be proved. It's difficult to prove. Same as the geyser claims. It could be lack of maintenance, but how do you prove it? That there's lack of maintenance. So that could be, you need to put that in your wording to say, what is the trigger? Could it be a lack of maintenance? Do you want to put that in there? And also the position of your wording. This you could be talking with your claims guys and to say where do you want to position your great exclusion, because if it's right at the end, sometimes it can be lost in translation, so to speak. So where do you want to position your wording? So as my last words, I would say that we now leave it to you as an insurer to consider your stance on the insurability of grid interruption and how you believe it is best addressed within your organization. Thank you very much for your attention.
Tabile, thank you. That was very insightful, and we must not forget whether we work for insurer, reinsurer, broker, UMA. Thank you, Daphne. We really do, as insurers and underwriters, have the utmost of respect and appreciation for the role that the reinsurers play in our world. And it was great to get that insight from you just now. So we've reached the end of our session. I understand that we had almost 4,000 people registered for today's session. It can be quite intimidating for me standing here talking to all of you, but how amazing, from where we started in the deep dark days of COVID with just about 100 people up to thousands, 4,000 to be exact. So thanks for joining us today. But before we go, I want to remind you of the InsureTalk live session. As I mentioned to you earlier, it is going to take place in October, on the 26th of October, in Melrose Arch, at the venue in Melrose Arch in Johannesburg. It's a one-day hybrid conference for insurance professionals. It's going to be different from anything else that you've attended. So we will have the in-person part of the conference, and then we're also going to have all of those of you who can't attend Joburg in person online. It's going to be a fantastic lineup of very interesting speakers. We've got fantastic sponsors for the event, and we're going to be tackling the topics like we normally do, but we're also going to be engaging in discussions. And then the most important thing is we're going to network in person. There are still some tickets available. Llewellyn will drop the link into the box again. And I really want to invite you to come and join us at InsureTalk Live on the 26th of October. And until I see you then, I hope you enjoyed today's session, and we'll be back next month with another session. Thank you.
CN&CO Events proudly brings you InsureTalk Live 2023. The time has come to close your laptop and join us live. Network with industry leaders and influencers. Engage and learn from A-list speakers. Interact with top exhibitors. Experience the best live entertainment. And so much more. Register today. Visit cnandcoevents.com. InsureTalk Live 2023, shaping the future together. Register today.